Some awakenings don't come with lightning or voices from the sky. They arrive quietly, like a shift in breath, a memory without origin, a question that won't go away. What if everything I seek is already here? Not just as a possibility, but as a reality, waiting for me to stop pretending I'm not worthy of it. Imagination. You've heard the word. You've tried to use it. You've sat in silence with your eyes closed, picturing a life that feels far away. And still, something in you doubts. Something waits for proof, for the money to appear, for the message to come, for the mirror to reflect what you long for. But the mirror only shows you what you already believe is true. That's what Neville tried to tell us, that your imagination is not daydreaming, it is God creating. It is not escape, it is the engine of your life. You see, the real pain isn't that we don't imagine enough, it's that we're always imagining, but unconsciously. From fear, from habit, from the residue of a childhood that told us we were too much or not enough. We build futures in our minds based on a past we never healed. And then we ask why the world won't change. But the world isn't denying you. It's obeying you. Obeying the version of you that you've accepted as real. Neville called it living in the end. Not hoping, not repeating, not visualizing as a technique, but living, feeling, being, as though the wish is already fulfilled. It's not about force. It's about assumption. Assumption so natural it feels like memory. So embodied it becomes your new baseline. You're not waiting for the thing. You're becoming the one who already has it. Bruce Lipton would tell you, your beliefs act like genetic switches. They turn on what's possible. They edit your experience just like a film director choosing which scenes to keep. But those beliefs, they're not facts. They're just scripts your subconscious accepted too long ago. And imagination, real embodied imagination, is how you rewrite the entire story. So today, I'm not here to give you another technique. I'm here to remind you of the final step, the one no one can teach you. The step where you stop looking, stop proving, stop trying to make it happen, and instead, you live from the knowing that it already has, because you are not a seeker anymore. You are the revealer, and everything you thought you had to chase is already running to meet you. There is a quiet trap that almost everyone falls into, not because you're blind or unwilling, but because the world taught you to seek proof before belief, to verify before trusting, to see the result before feeling the reality. It's subtle, but it's the very thing that delays your becoming. You say, I'll feel wealthy when the money shows up. I'll feel loved when someone finally stays. I'll feel safe when everything is stable again. But that's not how creation works. That's how memory works. That's how repetition works. What Neville revealed was the inversion of everything we were taught. It is not results that create the feeling. It is feeling that generates the result. This is why so many stay stuck at the threshold. They visualize, they affirm, but in their heart they still wait for something out there to give them permission to feel fulfilled. And the universe waits too, not as punishment, but because it mirrors only what you are, not what you beg for. The moment you imagine something is already yours without proof, without needing signs, without grasping for evidence, that's the moment it begins to materialize. It's hard at first, because everything in you is conditioned to check the mirror. But what if the mirror doesn't respond because you haven't truly looked through it? What if it's waiting for you to go first? So close the loop. The version of you who already has it doesn't wait. That version knows. That version assumes. That version doesn't ask for permission to feel the end, because they are the end. Repeat it not like a mantra, but like a vow. It's already decided, not by fate, not by luck, but by the you who chooses to feel now, without compromise, without hesitation, and without needing the world to confirm what your soul already knows. The final step is not to wait for the evidence. The final step is to be the evidence. There's a conflict that happens beneath the surface, so subtle it often goes unnoticed. It's not between your dream and the world. It's between your dream and the identity that carries it. You want abundance, but still carry the weight of unworthiness. You want love, but still see yourself through the lens of rejection. And without realizing it, your self-image becomes the gatekeeper of your manifestation. Desire alone is never enough, because the subconscious mind doesn't follow words. It follows vibration, and your vibration is shaped by who you believe you are, not just what you hope to receive. This is why some people can say the right affirmations for years and still feel stuck. Because deep down, they're still saying, I'm not ready, I'm not chosen, I'm not enough. Neville taught that imagination must begin with identity, not just picturing the thing, but becoming the one for whom it's already natural. This is the unseen bridge that most skip. They try to create a new life from an old self-image. But the old self-image can't hold the frequency of the new desire. It resists. It delays. It deflects. Psychology calls it the Galatea effect. You only rise to the level of your self-concept. The world cannot outgrow the version of you you've accepted as real. But the good news is this: that version is not permanent. It's programmable, and it's waiting for your permission to evolve. See yourself now, not as someone becoming, but as someone already chosen, already safe, already wealthy, already free. Don't wait for the evidence to treat yourself differently. Start with the inner honoring. Start with the invisible crown. Start with the quiet, unwavering assumption that your new identity is not a costume. It is your return. You don't need to prove it. You only need to embody it. Because once your self-image aligns with the desire, reality has no choice. It adjusts. It mirrors. It says yes. It's strange, isn't it? How doubt can feel safer than hope. How expecting disappointment can feel more familiar than expecting miracles. Not because you lack faith, but because your nervous system has been trained to prepare for what went wrong before. And repetition, even of pain, creates a strange kind of comfort. You may not realize it, but part of you may be addicted to doubt. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because doubt feels like control. If you brace for the worst, maybe it won't hurt as much. If you don't fully believe, maybe you won't be let down. But this strategy doesn't protect you. It prevents you. Neville never blamed people for doubting. He simply revealed that doubt is not a spiritual failure. It's a habit. It's the echo of a past that never saw you succeed. A neural groove in the brain, like a well-worn path, always leading back to hesitation. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's true. Doubt is not truth, it's repetition. And the more you feed it, the more it disguises itself as logic. But your imagination holds the antidote. Not through force, not through denial, but through replacement. When you feel doubt rising, don't fight it. Redirect it. Interrupt the groove. Choose a new image. One where you no longer need to expect the fall. One where you live inside the assumption that things work out because you are you. This is not blind positivity. It's energetic clarity. It's training your system to feel safe in the vibration of faith. And over time, that faith becomes your baseline. Not because the world changed, but because you stopped rehearsing collapse. You are not here to prepare for the worst. You're here to embody the best. Doubt may whisper, but it no longer decides. Because now something stronger is speaking. The version of you who already arrived. And they are not afraid. Behind every performance, behind every light and sound, there's a crew moving silently, unseen, ensuring that what you witness on stage seems effortless. Your life works the same way. What shows up on the stage, your bank account, your relationships, your circumstances, is just the surface. The real power is happening backstage, and that stage crew is your subconscious. Bruce Lipton said that 95% of your life is dictated not by conscious thought, but by subconscious programming. That means that the part of you that's visualizing, affirming, and reading books may be working hard, but if the stage crew is still running the old script, nothing changes. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're trying to direct a play without speaking to the team behind the curtain. Neville knew this. He never asked you to force reality. He asked you to impress it, not through will, but through repetition of vivid inner scenes. Not just any scenes, felt scenes. Moments that carry the emotion of the wish fulfilled. He called it the state akin to sleep, where your conscious mind relaxes just enough for the subconscious to receive the message without resistance. You don't need to manipulate your subconscious. You need to invite it, guide it, let it fall in love with a new normal, a new memory, a new vibration. That's why Neville insisted on using the moment before sleep, when the mind is softest, most receptive, most porous. Picture one scene, just one. The phone call that confirms it, the moment your feet touch the floor in your dream home, the quiet peace of looking in the mirror and knowing it's done. Loop it gently. Not with urgency, but with reverence, until it feels less like a fantasy and more like something you're remembering. You are not trying to convince your subconscious. You are showing it what to prepare, and once it accepts the scene, the outer world shifts like scenery changing behind the curtain, because the stage crew has received its cue, and now the show must go on. Before we continue, pause with me for just a breath. If something within you is starting to shift, if a part of you is whispering, "This is what I've always known, but never heard said this way," then I left something waiting for you in the pinned comment. It's not an explanation. It's a continuation. A small key that might open a door you didn't know was still closed. When you're ready, it's there. Now, let's keep going. Stop negotiating with the old reality. There's a moment, subtle but powerful, when the old reality tries to pull you back into agreement. It whispers through bills, echoes in silence, shouts from closed doors and delayed texts, and without noticing, you begin to negotiate. Maybe I need to lower my expectations. Maybe I'm not ready yet. Maybe this is just how things are. But every time you engage with the old, you re-anchor it. Neville said, "The world is a shadow, not a judge, not a rule book. A shadow. And what is a shadow but the delayed reflection of a form already shaped? You don't argue with a shadow. You don't plead with it to change. You change the source of light. You shift your posture. You alter your position. And the shadow moves. So when the world presents you with lack, rejection, or silence, it's not telling you what's true. It's showing you what you used to believe. It's a postcard from the past, not a prophecy of the future. But if you respond to it with fear, justification, or over-explaining, you keep feeding it. You keep extending its contract. You are not here to debate with conditions. You are here to define them. Your assumption is the law. Your inner state is the origin. Not because it's wishful thinking, but because consciousness is causation. What you feel as real within becomes inevitable without. You wouldn't bargain with yesterday's weather report. You wouldn't beg last week's sunset to return. So why plead with an old version of reality that has already been replaced in the unseen? You are not meant to react. You are meant to radiate. You are not here to explain your worth to circumstances. You are here to embody the truth that your worth precedes them. The world will catch up, but only if you stop trying to bring it along. Let the old reality fade without negotiation. It has no more power than the attention you give it. And you have already moved on. There is something sacred about desire. Not the kind that comes from lack or restlessness, but the kind that arises from deep within, quietly, unmistakably, like a whisper from eternity. That desire is not random. It is not a trick. It is not a mistake. It is evidence of what already exists in the unseen, waiting for you to claim it, not with urgency, but with reverence. You were taught to question your desires, to tone them down, to be realistic. But the truth is this: the moment a true desire appears, its fulfillment is already created in the invisible. The wish is never born without the way. Neville understood this, not as philosophy, but as law. He taught that the very presence of the desire means it already is, just not yet seen. Plato called it the world of forms, an invisible realm where every perfect version already exists. And when your heart longs for something with clarity and peace, it's not just asking for it, it's remembering it. It's recognizing a vibration that's already part of your higher blueprint. What we call desire is the soul recognizing itself in future form. And yet, the mind resists. It says, "But I don't see it. I don't know how. I don't have proof." But proof is the final echo, not the beginning. The path appears only when you stop needing it to. So when a desire rises, gently, naturally, fully, don't dismiss it. Don't fear it. Don't negotiate it. See it as sacred evidence, as a glimpse of a version of you that already exists, beckoning you to match its frequency. Let the affirmation rise from within, not as hope, but as recognition. This is the evidence of what already is, not a dream, not a fantasy, a certainty awakening in your body before it takes shape in the world. You were not given this desire to be teased by it. You were given it to remember what's already yours, not someday, not when you figure it all out, but now in the silence where all creation begins. Thoughts alone are not enough. You already know this. You've thought about the life you want. You've written it down. You visualized it in the stillness of night, and yet, something still feels missing. That something is feeling. Not just any feeling, but the emotional signature of the end. The subconscious doesn't speak in words. It speaks in vibration. It listens not to what you say, but to how you feel when you say it. That's why imagining success while feeling anxious only amplifies the anxiety. That's why repeating, "I am abundant," while feeling empty, only deepens the void. Neville said that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret, not the sentence, not the scene, but the feeling that lives underneath. The feeling that says, "This is already mine. This is already who I am." When that feeling takes root, your reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around it. Modern neuroscience confirms what the mystics have always known. Emotions are chemical signals that rewire the brain, reshape the nervous system, and retrain perception. When you feel a new future, you change your biology to match it. The body becomes a portal, not a prison. So don't just think the end. Feel it, but feel it in simple ways. Choose one word, one emotion: secure, free, adored, abundant. Let that word become the music you play in your chest. Let it color your walk, your tone, your silence. Amplify it not with force, but with familiarity. At first, it may feel strange, foreign, but stay with it until that feeling becomes your new emotional home. Because once the end feels natural in your nervous system, it becomes inevitable in your external world. You don't need to feel everything at once. You only need to feel one true note and hold it. That note is your signal. That note is your bridge. That note is the new truth, playing softly in the background until the entire world begins to dance to it. There's a quiet desperation that creeps in when you start asking, "How will it happen?" It doesn't scream. It disguises itself as planning, as responsibility, as logic. But underneath, it's fear. The fear that if you don't control every step, the dream will slip through your fingers. But Neville never told you to figure out the path. He told you to feel the end. That's where the power is. That's where the bridge of incidents begins to unfold, not through your effort, but through your surrender. The moment you start obsessing over the mechanics, you shift out of the end and back into the middle. You stop being the one who already has it and become the one still trying to get there. And that subtle shift delays everything. Not because the dream is far, but because your focus has moved from embodiment to strategy. The how is not your role. It's not your weight to carry. Creation already knows the way. The bridge is already forming, but it requires your stillness to see it. It requires your trust to walk it. It requires your silence to hear the next step. Neville compared it to the game of chess. The master does not plan every move. He only holds the checkmate in mind. Every move flows from that single image. No panic, no rush, just alignment with the inevitable. So stop trying to build the staircase. Be the one who already stands at the top. Feel the breeze of completion on your skin. Let the world arrange itself in response to your unwavering inner position. You are not here to manipulate life into giving you what you want. You are here to align with the version of you who already received it. And from that state, the how becomes unnecessary. Because what is meant for you doesn't arrive through control. It arrives through coherence, through readiness, through resonance with the already fulfilled. Naturalness is the proof of success. There's a turning point in every manifestation journey that goes unnoticed by most. It's not the moment the money arrives or the relationship appears. It's not the sign or the synchronicity. It's something quieter, softer, deeper. The moment when the vision no longer excites you, because it feels normal. Neville said your assumption has been accepted by the subconscious when it becomes natural. Not thrilling, not euphoric, but natural. Like brushing your teeth, like locking the door behind you, like breathing. The moment you stop reacting to the idea of having it is the moment the world begins responding to it. This confuses people. They expect fireworks. They chase emotional highs. They think the more intense the feeling, the closer the dream. But in truth, intensity often reveals separation. It says, "This is still rare." It says, "This is still special." And as long as it feels too special, it still feels separate. The man who finally stepped into success didn't do so through excitement. He did it through repetition, through quiet inner rehearsal, through letting the image settle into the fabric of his daily vibration. Until one day, he pictured the result and felt nothing. Not because he didn't want it anymore, but because it already felt like his. That's the mark. When the scene you once longed for feels as routine as the one you live now. when abundance feels as mundane as survival once did, when peace feels as familiar as chaos used to, that's when the subconscious says yes. That's when reality no longer needs convincing. So if your vision no longer thrills you, don't panic. Celebrate. You're not losing the dream. You're embodying it. You're not falling behind. You're stabilizing, becoming, settling into a new frequency that no longer asks for permission to exist. Naturalness isn't the absence of desire. It's the confirmation that the desire has taken root. And once it feels natural, it's already on the way. So many live as though the world is watching them, measuring them, deciding what they're worthy of. They look at their bank account and see a verdict. They look at silence and see rejection. They look at delay and see failure. But the world is not judging you. It's mirroring you. Neville said it simply. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner assumption. Not instantly, not always obviously, but inevitably. Like a mirror that moves just a few seconds behind, reflecting not what you think you want, but what you believe is already true. This can feel harsh until you realize the power it gives you. If reality is a judge, you're at its mercy. But if reality is a mirror, you hold the brush. You create the image it reflects, not with effort, not with perfection, but with quiet, consistent assumption. When you look around and see lack, don't take it as punishment. Take it as a message, a signal that the inner image needs tuning. When you feel unseen, unloved, unsupported, it's not the world denying you. It's the echo of a version of you who hasn't yet been updated in your inner world. But here's the shift. You don't have to wait for the mirror to change. You don't have to ask it for approval. You change the source. You inhabit a new vibration. You bring a new version of you to the reflection. And with time, the image catches up. Whenever the world reflects something old, scarcity, doubt, resistance, pause, breathe, and silently affirm, this too is catching up, not as hope, as truth, because the outer world is always a few steps behind your inner becoming. And if you don't panic, if you don't chase, if you don't collapse, you'll begin to see it shift. You were never here to be judged. You were always here to remember that what appears outside is only ever a delayed reply to the inner truth you finally allowed yourself to believe. Living in the end is the final surrender. There is a threshold on this journey that few speak about with honesty. It is not dramatic. It doesn't come with sparks or signs. It comes with stillness, with the sound of a breath held and finally released. It comes when you are no longer trying to manifest, no longer looking for the signal, no longer chasing alignment like a reward. It's the moment you stop doing because you have become. To live in the end is not about bypassing desire or pretending not to want. It is the deep, cellular knowing that the thing you once longed for is no longer in the future. It is now, here, embodied. And even if your eyes can't yet see it, your nervous system already knows. Your body already holds it. Your energy already speaks it. That is the final surrender, not to resignation, but to fulfillment. Neville never said this would feel exciting. He never said it would be a rush of emotion. In fact, he taught the opposite, that the sign you've truly entered the state of the wish fulfilled is not euphoria, it's naturalness. It's the soft, quiet, almost unnoticed shift where the dream stops feeling far away and starts feeling like home. You don't wake up gasping with joy every morning in your dream house. You wake up and brush your teeth like you always have. You don't weep every time you pay your bills with ease. You just pay them. You don't rehearse the script of love in your head every day. You live it. You breathe it. It becomes so normal, so integrated, that you forget it used to be a prayer. That is what it means to live in the end. It is the absence of resistance, the absence of still waiting, the absence of effort to convince yourself it's coming. Because when you live in the end, you are no longer relating to your desire from distance. You have collapsed the gap. You are no longer seeking confirmation. You are giving it. But most of us are trained to do the opposite. We are taught to look outward, to search the mirror, to analyze results. And so we fall into the cycle of subtle rejection. It's not here yet, so I must not be doing enough. We treat the desire like a delicate negotiation, constantly adjusting our inner posture in response to external feedback. This is not surrender. This is spiritual insecurity masquerading as practice. To surrender is to stop asking, stop proving, stop explaining your process to those who can't see what you're building inside. To surrender is to exit the loop of performance. It is to walk barefoot into the version of you that no longer seeks approval from life, because they are life. They are the cause, not the effect. And that version is already waiting within you. It is not a future self. It is your true self, uncloaked, unburdened, unshaken. Bruce Lipton once said that the moment a cell is placed in a new environment, it changes its behavior instantly, not gradually, not with delay. It responds immediately to its surroundings. You are no different. Your life is no different. But most people try to change their life while maintaining the same internal climate, the same thoughts, the same emotional signatures, the same conversations. But the end doesn't live there. The end lives in the moment you shift the internal climate, regardless of the forecast. When you stop reading your circumstances as law and start feeling your way through the new atmosphere, an atmosphere of sufficiency, of quiet wealth, of completed love, not loud, not performative, just present. This is why so many people feel disoriented as they grow, because the emotions that once fueled their desire, urgency, excitement, even pain, start to fall away, and what replaces them is something far less dramatic, but infinitely more powerful: neutrality, peace, certainty. And peace for many feels boring at first. But that's because we've been addicted to the highs and lows of seeking. We've mistaken anxiety for ambition. We've confused tension with transformation. But real change doesn't shout. It settles. So when you begin to live in the end, your system quiets. Your breath slows. Your desire stops burning like a flame and starts humming like electricity, steady and uninterrupted. This is the body remembering what it means to dwell in truth. You no longer check the mirror every hour. You no longer need to feel on to feel aligned. You no longer need proof, because the feeling is enough. And when doubt appears, and it will, you don't collapse into it. You welcome it as a visitor, but you no longer rent its space. You see it for what it is, a fading echo from an old version of you. You nod, you breathe, and you return to the end. The seed doesn't grow faster because you dig it up to make sure it's still there. It grows because you water it, believe in it, and let the soil do what it was designed to do. That's what surrender is. That's what trust feels like. It's not passive. It's deeply alive, quiet, but full of unseen motion. You are not abandoning your desire. You are becoming the environment in which it blooms. Living in the end means speaking as if it already happened, not to perform, but because anything else would feel untrue. It means walking with a posture that reflects certainty, not pride. It means creating your day from the vibration of already, instead of the anxiety of not yet. You stop telling stories that contradict your new identity. You stop entertaining emotions that dilute your alignment. You stop explaining your evolution to those still addicted to waiting. And in that silence, something exquisite begins to take shape. You begin to embody inevitability, the most magnetic state of all. The world responds not to pressure, but to presence. And presence is the natural result of one who has surrendered to the end, not as a concept, but as a reality, as a state of being that no longer oscillates between belief and doubt, between trying and letting go, between waiting and wondering. You are not meant to toggle between timelines. You are meant to rest in the one that already chose you. This is why Neville called it the final step, because there's nothing left to reach for when you become the one who already has. The search ends, the performance ends, the cycle ends, and in that ending, something opens. Space, grace, a softness where creation flows without friction, not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped interfering with its arrival. So let this be your experiment, not a test, a devotion. For the next 7 days, respond to everything as the version of you who already knows. Don't check the mirror. Don't explain your shift. Don't apologize for your embodiment. Instead, speak less, breathe more, walk with quiet conviction. And if the old version whispers, just smile. You are no longer theirs to persuade. You are no longer in the middle. You are no longer becoming. You are. You have. You live. And now, the world begins to remember you accordingly, not because it's convinced, but because it has no other choice. The end is here, and it has your name on it. And before you go, pause for a moment. There's something waiting for you in the pinned comment. It's not loud. It's not for everyone. But if what you felt here touched something real, if a part of you is still listening in the silence, then you'll know why it's there. Let your curiosity guide you. Check the pinned comment.